Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of the Audible Farm podcast. It is October 11th, 2018. I first want to give a shout out to the bands I saw this weekend. I played a show with Unity at Gabe's in Iowa City, and Helium Prime, Striker, and Against the Archers were the headlining bands. The other opening band was Dark Agenda, and Striker blew me away. I recommend anybody that likes metal music, thrash kind of stuff, go ahead and check out Striker from Canada. They're pretty awesome. Today, I'm interviewing Jeff Bluml. Jeff and I played a show together this summer at the Rockin' Picnic. We called ourselves the Stockyard, and we talk about that a little bit, as well as his woodworking skills and the Kris Karr Band. So without further ado, here is Jeff Bluml.
It's the Audible Farm podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
All right, hey Jeff, how's it going?
Going pretty good. Awesome. Welcome to Rolling Pinpoint, Iowa.
I am on the road again this week. This is the traveling podcast, and I'm sitting down with Jeff Bluml. My first introduction to you was as the, I guess you could call it, auxiliary drummer or auxiliary musician of sorts in Kris Karr Band. You played some, I don't know what you want to call it. You got like bongos or some.
Yeah, I always have like congas and, you know, the tambourine, all the stuff, the noisemakers and stuff. You know, we've got 3 drummers in the band, and so, you know, it's kind of tough to find a spot sometimes. If you can jump back there, you do, and if not, you do other things.
So, what actually, like, when did Kris come to you and ask you to start doing like the Kris Karr Band thing?
It's been about 5 years. I think we've been going with this. We'd both kind of done the other band things for a long time, and then started thinking about solo stuff, and stopped by the shop one day and just got talking to him, and I said, well, we should put something together, and so we found 4 other friends, and from that were in different bands, and just kind of dinked around one day and practiced some tunes, and our first gig we opened for Foreigner.
That's actually pretty awesome. That's sweet. So let's start somewhere at the beginning. Kris Karr is I guess the guy in the Kris Karr Band. He's the main singer for the most part. He plays like he's the kind of front man of the whole operation, I guess.
Yeah, it's his idea, and we kind of follow that lead. He's incredibly talented. I mean,
no question.
It's just like you see an odd instrument laying around, and Kris, can you play this? I don't know. Let me see it. And 5 minutes later, he's
got something. Got something figured out
you're
already.
Going, okay.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. You know.
He's got a music shop here in town. That's Eighth Note Music.
That is correct.
And I just want to throw that out there for him real quick. But who else we got in the band? You've got you, Kris. There's the drummer is
Scott Dahl. Scott, an Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, inductee. He's played with several bands. He's in the Ned Freely Fun Band. He's with us, and he'll drive all over the place, and people know him everywhere from here to Nashville, and hey, come on up and sit down and and play, and it's unbelievable. And I've got Brad Strickland on bass. Used to live in the area here, is down in Des Moines now, and we're grateful that he commutes back and forth. And
I was wondering about that because I had heard he was going to move, and I didn't know if he was going to still make the jaunt up here to do the shows or not.
Yeah, we were we're really locked in with our five guys, and it's fantastic that he's willing to make the extra drives and stuff to do it, and we don't get as much practice time as what we used to because of that factor, but when we do, we really make it worthwhile and hit stuff pretty hard, and all 5 of us are vocalists, so we get a ton of harmony, which
Absolutely.
is great.
That is probably one of the things that I feel like sets you apart from almost every other band I get to see. The fact that every single one of you guys can sing very well, and you do it, and it doesn't happen very often that you get two singers in a band, and you guys can create harmonies that oh man, I mean it's almost incomparable to anything else you will see on just like a cover band coming to your bar. It's quite pleasant, and it's actually something that I feel like a lot of people take it for granted, the ability to sing. Let's sidetrack just a little bit to the Stockyard show that we did together.
Okay. Before we move on to that, though, I'd like to throw out a shout to Bruce Borchers.
Absolutely.
He's, lead rhythm guitar player in the band. You've got, Kris on lead and rhythm guitar, and Bruce. They switch off back and forth. Their dual leads are killer.
Yes.
That does everything. Bruce is also a rock and roll inductee for the Iowa Hall of Fame, and the main thing is we were all like side guys in other bands for years. We kind of sat around them, and backed other people, and so we, in this band, none of us take on that lead role really. Where it's like, who wants to sing a tune? It's like when it comes out, and so it's like, well, I'll take the lead on this one. It's more in my range, or so that works out great that way. And then we build the harmonies around that, and we can do everything from Eagles, Doobie Brothers, but we throw a ton of originals in too. We've got a good solid list of originals, and we don't call them out, and it's nice to see people when they're nodding their heads and enjoying our tunes as much as the covers.
So do you think the fact that you guys weren't ever, I guess you could call it like the focal point of the band ever before, now that you guys have all joined forces, do you think that's like one of the reasons that it's created such a I don't know, cohesive unit between you five? Because like you had said, you guys had all kind of played, I guess, second fiddle to other people throughout the majority of your musical careers up until this point. Do you think like I don't know, is this now an opportunity for every single one of you guys to kind of shine a little bit, as opposed to, and you kind of give everybody in the band the opportunity to do so? Is that something you're kind of looking for?
Yeah, I think so. We're not having been the front guy, or I can't say that we don't have egos. I think every musician has to have some form of an ego, to get up there. It's whatever you do. It's you've got to be willing to get up in front of people, and at times make a fool out of yourself. It's
exactly.
And stuff. And if you're not afraid to do that, but you can, if something works well for another guy, no matter how well you think you can do it, we're willing to. You take this.
Absolutely.
Because it's just
you got to play off the strengths of everybody.
Oh yeah, it's just like, oh man, and then they do it, and you're like, well, I'm sure glad you're doing that, because
exactly.
Holy cow, man, I can't hold a candle to that. So.
Exactly. I was actually talking about that. I was at a show this weekend with my band Unity that I'm in, and our frontman is a really good frontman. He gets the crowd involved, and he doesn't play any instruments, so he has the ability to run around and point at people and talk to people, and he's really good at it. And it's something. His name's Alonzo. I mean, I'll have to give him another shout out. He's going to be on a podcast eventually, but yeah, it's just something that it seems to be. I mean, you got to give the props to somebody that has the ability to do something that you couldn't or even wouldn't want to do, because that's not something I would even be comfortable with, trying to get everybody to like either shout with me or raise all their hands and do all this stuff. I mean, he can make a crowd of 100 or 200 seem like you're in a room full of 3,000 just because everybody's involved, and it's pretty wild. So let's talk a little bit about you had just mentioned how everybody in your band can sing. Now let's go over to the Stockyard, which was you and me and Dan Blair from a previous podcast, and Nick Earhart, and he plays with he's the bassist in Riddle with Class, and the four of us had gotten together this summer to play the Rockin' Picnic, and we had chosen to call it the Stockyard. I've been asked twice in a row now, and this year I knew I needed to have a band because it just wasn't going to work. I mean, it's neat to have like a box with instruments kind of just coming out of the box and loops, but I just feel like you're missing the full package. So I wanted to get a full band together, and I ended up choosing you because you said you like to play the drums, but you don't spend a whole lot of your time actually behind the kit itself with the Kris Karr Band. So I ended up giving you a shot, and it was awesome. I had so much fun playing with you and Dan and Nick this summer. How was it sitting behind a kit with a band? Do you get to do that very often at all?
Actually, that was for a full gig. That was probably the first time in 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So I was in a band at one time where it was a blues band where I was the solid, drummer the whole time. And it just kept, well, okay, you're going to sing this song. You're going to sing this song, and it was like, oh, I know that song. And then it ended up being to where I was singing about 75% of the tunes and trying to drum. And if your tempos and rhythms and, the cadence of the lyrics aren't matching,
that gets really difficult.
I have an issue with that, and I don't know. I've never been diagnosed with like slight ADD or something. If something happens out in the crowd, hey, cat. Ooh,
yeah.
So, but no, it was great. The Rockin' Picnic in the Stockyard was just a blast. If that opportunity ever came up again, I'd jump in wholeheartedly and
absolutely.
And, it was a great mix of guys. Everybody was willing to just, okay, let's pick some tunes that, we're not going to kill ourselves, trying to figure out.
Exactly.
We weren't, okay, we're going to get out there and do Rush 2112.
Yeah, oh gosh.
Okay, well, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
But no, we picked tunes we all kind of knew, but we were also willing to make them our own. That's the great thing about playing. You can listen to the record 1,000 times, but when you bring it out on stage and
yeah, exactly.
You do your thing, and you may not nail everything, but it's yours.
Exactly. I think that's one of the things I tried to do when I was first asked to play the Rockin' Picnic was I wanted to play a song, and if I wanted to extend the solo section longer, so maybe Dan or I could solo longer, anything like that. It was just kind of free form. You could just add to the song here, take away from it there, and kind of maybe even do it on the fly if you had to. And that was kind of what we were going for. We ended up a couple of the songs we ended up stretching out a little bit on the fly, and it actually worked out really good. We had spent just enough time together to get comfortable playing together to pull off what I think was a pretty fun show for everybody. We played some ZZ Top songs, some Ted Nugent, Freddie King, Allman Brothers, just your run-of-the-mill blues songs, and it was a really good time.
Well, it was really neat because watching you and Dan like flip leads.
Yeah.
I get a kick out of that. You can sit behind a kid all day, but when you're looking out front, and that's the other cool thing about drumming is, it's really rare that the drummer ever gets, they don't set that guy out front for a reason, because he's paying attention to what's going on with everybody.
Exactly.
And and when you're back there and you're just holding down this beat and you're watching all the mechanics of it come together, and with ease.
Yeah.
Because considering what we had 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Kind of throw that together, and then
I think we got 5 practices in 6 weeks.
Yeah, and there was, I took off for like 10 days to Tennessee right in the middle of that, and that didn't throw a wrench in.
I mean, everybody has jobs, and I'm going to school. Everybody was busy with other things. We still found the time to make it work.
Oh yeah, and when I think the last like 2 rehearsals when everything started to click.
Absolutely.
It was just like, man, let's practice again.
Yeah.
And then when the picnic was over, just like,
yeah, now what?
We could do this again, or what are you guys doing next week? Well, we don't got nothing going on.
Exactly.
But it was a riot.
Yeah, it was tons of fun. Filled up a good half hour. The crowd there is always tons of fun. Yep. I mean, even you go 2 in the afternoon and the place is already somewhat packed.
Oh yeah, everybody's hanging out. It's a good time, and and then when you got the people that that are running it, that committee, they're coming up and they're you guys, that was awesome.
That's probably one of my favorite things about it is the promoters and the people who run the event actually come up to you and tell you how good of a job they think you did.
Yeah,
and they're not lying.
No, that's what's nice is because 3/4 of them are either doing what you do or they have the interest there to put it together and
exactly.
And they're having fun and and it's not every day you get to sing the national anthem and then they scare the hell out of you when a cannon goes off right after.
Yeah.
So it's a great event.
Yeah. So we ended up doing the Stockyard at the Rockin' Picnic, and you actually went up with Kris Karr and Bruce Borchers, and did a little, I guess you could call it like 3/5 with the Kris Karr Band. You guys call it the Cosmic Brownies.
Yes.
And you guys actually you had a little bit of extra time. All of you guys were actually at the event, and they said, hey, you guys want to go up on stage and play a couple jingles? And you guys went up there and rocked it. It was a nice surprise for everybody.
Well, it was one of those, it's like when they're switching bands out, you can get a guy up there talking, and and you're thanking your advertisers and the people that help you put this on, and the people that that are, I mean, it's just such a great event because you go up there and it's free.
But
you okay, just throw some money in a donation pot or whatever, and it's like we're grilling all this food, and it's just awesome. So you're doing that, but and they came up, and in between the bands, it was like, oh, just get up, guys. You want to get up there and play like 2 or 3 tunes, and it's like, okay, we're comfortable with this, or what do you want to do? And we haven't done this one in a while, so that was a really great time, and
yeah, it was really good,
and it works great. That's kind of how the Kris Karr Band got started. Kris was doing solo acts, and then it was a St. Patty's night way up in northern Iowa, and he had a solo gig, and he's just like, why don't you just come along? And so I hopped in the van, and we rode up there, and 5 hours later, and they're kicking us out of the bar because it's going on 2, and it's like, we might have something here, so we booked a couple of more of them, and and then we were sitting around one day, and Bruce walks in, and then the 3-part harmony kicked off, and it's like, okay, let's we'll run with this, and then Brad was just, we're playing a couple of, of these, and he walks in with his bass and starts playing along, and well, this feels right, and so then we started looking for a drummer, and found Coco Bear.
Yeah, you got
Scott
the one.
Dahl. Yeah, yep. got the guy,
So yeah, that's actually I really enjoy hearing about how you guys came about, because I've been watching Kris play guitar around the community for a number of years. I'd 5 to 10 easily for me, somewhere in there. But to actually, I mean, I'm not sure if it's tough to describe how I kind of like look up to you guys as a band, because of your professionalism, and not only that, but you guys are all very talented, and you guys all have fun up there. There's definitely something that has to be said about having fun on stage, because you can go to some shows and you can see bands, and you don't have a smile on their face. They get up there, they play the show, and then when they're done, they just pack their stuff up and leave, or they just hide in the corner and don't talk to any. There's never a smile. But you guys are always, always, always having fun. Do you think that's like one of the reasons you guys get so many gigs, is because you guys are one of the most talented and I guess I want to say optimistic, but like you're just one of the happier bands that's out there, it seems like,
I think people see that, they see that we're enjoying ourselves, and that's the other thing too. If you enjoy playing music with people, there's that connection. You're just, sometimes you don't even have to think or wonder what this person's going to do. Or there's been times too to where the, voices are, have a lot of gigs in a row, and then your voices are wearing thin, and then we'll mix the set. We had to do that last week, mix the set list up a little bit.
Yep.
Weather's changing, and people are not as running around outside one day when it's 80, and the next day you're it's like 40.
Yeah, it's 40 and raining.
And so you're doing that, and so, but yeah, we respect each other with that, and how you feeling, and we're in constant, communication during the week too.
That's also important. Yeah.
It was like, I think midnight Thursday night, a text comes through. Oh yeah, tomorrow night we're playing this tune. Look at it.
All right.
And then you look down. Oh, it's number 8 on the set list. I should have looked at it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you listen to it quick, and it's like, okay, I need to find my part here, and which was crazy because, Kris threw that out, and then all of a sudden he turns around and looks at Scott, like 2 minutes before we're going to play this, and he goes, oh yeah, by the way, you're singing it. And Scott's back there on drums, and nailed it.
That's
it's
awesome.
Just, it's like, that's what's, with everybody, kind of give away age here, but I'm pushing 60, and we started doing this in high school.
That's
and you're when you're 14 and somebody says hey, you want to sing for my band, it's like a dream come
exactly.
true.
Yep.
And so I've never been able to put it down.
Sounds very familiar. I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel oddly similar to the same way, because that first taste you get of it, or the first time you see it is enough to just get you addicted to either wanting to be on stage or playing the instrument or learning the craft in a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, that was when I was growing up. Music has always been big in my family. I come from both sides. My mom and dad's have huge families, and but my mom's had a lot of, everybody could seem to play an instrument or sing.
Yeah.
And so when I was like 4 or 5, I would go, and I was one of the younger cousins, and so I'd go to these like church events or whatever, and I had older cousins that played in a band. And I'm watching them, and I'm going, I'm going to do that. And when you're 5, and you start doing that, and you're watching that, and they're all still involved in music, in one way or another. And so, you wanted to do that, and so you pick that up, and it's like, well, we have a piano if you want to learn how to. I can never play piano.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's
a mystery to me.
I only used it ever for music theory, and then after that, I just kind of dropped it. But
and then I was like, well, and my cousins had drums. We'd go out there, and it was like, and I'd just stare at them, and everybody's like, this, we can't hear, leave them alone or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I just want to play these drums, So when I was 18 and got my first kind of place, I was like, well, do I need a couch or do I need a set of drums? so I bought a set of drums, and I can guarantee you that if you come home late at night, like 2:30 in the morning, and I've had a couple of beers and throw on Led Zeppelin Physical Graffiti, you get the pleasure of moving the next day. They're up, if you have headphones on and you're pounding away.
Yep.
When the album finally, and this is back, in the vinyl, and that side's over, and people are pounding on your door, and you're like, oh, sorry.
Oh, my bad. I didn't hear you.
It's like, but it's one of those things to where, and I'm a self-taught drummer, so.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wonderful for self-taught. I mean, I oftentimes thought it'd be difficult to take drum lessons for some reason. I just feel like it's so encompassing, and it's kind of like, where do you start if you didn't start in school with on the snare drum or something like that.
And that's why piano's confusing for me, because I'm really left-handed.
Yeah.
I mean, and so I play drums left-handed. And that's why when we're at gigs, I don't sit in a lot, because
it's completely backwards.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you want to sit in? Yeah, I'm going to screw up your drum kit. Oh, no, don't do that. I just want to play 2 tunes. And it's like, well, then I'll sit over here and enjoy the show, or you might get up and sing or do something. But that's, but I kind of taught myself, and I don't really have any, some people, well, how do you do this?
You just do it.
I just,
yeah.
So
there's something else to be said about how all you guys in the Kris Karr Band can take everything so seriously, but still have like a lighthearted attitude. You play the song "Come Together," and instead of having a solo in the center section of it, you bust out kazoos. And the first time I saw that, my initial instinct was, what? And then about 3 seconds later, I'm like, this is awesome. I have no clue why it fits. It fits so well. Maybe it's just the fact that you guys are the ones doing it. I have no clue.
I'm not even sure how that got started. We found these weird things. They were called the world's loudest kazoos. They were wazoos. And then they made another one that had 2 horns on it. That's a wazooful. And we just bought them up, and I don't know how, just we started doing that, and like you said, it fits, and people, and the minute it hits, people are just like, what the,
Yeah, kazoo harmony.
It's like 3-part, and we're doing the lead guitar parts,
Yeah.
And then, somebody will throw, if you got a scratchy voice, you throw in a Barry sax sound with it, 'cause you've got your full vocal range, and it's just, that's the lighthearted stuff. We look at each other, or it happens, and and then everybody's like, "What? What the heck did you do that for?" And it's, why not?
Why not? Exactly.
Like, if you can't I'd do some other things, and it's like, but if you're not afraid to get up in front of people and make an ass out of yourself here,
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna make a mistake, they're gonna laugh at you anyway. So why not just have a little bit of fun while you're up there, So let's switch the conversation just a skosh to the fact that you are a very good singer, and you do I guess you sing in like a Fort Dodge musical, an arrangement, the Comedia Musica Players.
Yeah, it's I kind of started doing some acting about 20 years ago, and you did it in high school because it was part of what you did with with your choir and stuff, and my vocals, I mean, there was the one thing I always could do, so when it came to like I couldn't always play drums and guitar or whatever, and piano, just I don't know if it was a concentration thing or the left-handed thing, but it just never really made sense, even if I would try to do it backwards. And but the vocal thing I could do, and and it's another thing, you get up there, it's a totally different aspect of performing. It can be really serious. You can sing a tune to where that's just heart-wrenching, or you can get out there and sing something totally stupid. And it's about 3 years ago, I had the opportunity to shave my head for about 6 months and play Uncle Fester and in the Addams Family musical, and there's all this. It's Wednesday is now growing up and she wants to get married. Well, then Fester is in love too. And so it's like, well, who's Fester? Well, Fester is in love with the moon. And so about 3/4 of the way through the show, we figured out a way to make Fester fly up into the air, and he sings a song, this love song it's The Moon and Me.
So you got to fly through the air?
Yeah, well, you just kind of up and down. It was like you don't want to give away the magic of theater, but it was kind of a teeter-totter type thing that was set in black, and everything was black around me other than what I was wearing.
Whoa.
And so, all of a sudden your feet leave the floor, and
that's wicked.
And you're singing in this goofy voice, and and you're in love with the moon, and but yeah, so that's a neat thing of that, or
like what got you started, like even doing, it's not that it's something odd to do, but I guess your talent scope is so wide. Like, what got you started? I mean, what was the main thing that coming to Fort Dodge? Who'd you get in contact with? Who asked you first to do what play? Did they have a certain part in mind for you?
I actually no. It was like an open roll call for a play one time. Or it was actually Iowa Central was putting it on.
What was the play?
And it was Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh, cool.
It's a rock opera. It's still one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I actually had been at an event and I saw a guy playing a piano, and this people, it's like, would you sing for our kid's wedding? And so I was like, okay, and I'm going to need a piano player, because I don't do that. Yep. And so I went out looking for this guy, and it said, open auditions, and I said, is that true? And because I know every word of that musical. I've been listening to it since I was like, when it came out in 1969 or 70, so, and it was like, well, okay, yeah, you can show up. Well, I went in there, and there's a part to where Jesus and Pilate are arguing. Mm-hmm. Well, I sang both parts, in two different vocal tones, and they're, and so then they gave me, the call, and so I did that, and that kind of sparked, an interest there, and that was like the first really big musical part that I had done, and I did a couple more after that, and a guy I'd met in Superstar was directing a regular play, no music, and he was just like, you're crazy enough to do this role. And so I did that, and then I started doing plays and kind of met the theater groups around town here, and that's how I got involved.
I saw a picture recently of you dressed up as a knight, maybe.
That's very possible.
And do you want to let the cat out of the bag on that one?
Comedia is doing Spam-A-Lot this year, which will be November 8th through the 10th.
Nice.
And I play two parts. It's from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
It's primarily based off that, but it includes tunes out of all of their movies.
Okay.
And so you've got stuff from Life of Brian and
Mm-hmm.
and it's just stupid British humor, And so,
Yeah.
but you get to be Dennis, and then Dennis is then chosen by Sir Galahad to become, or by King Arthur to become knighted, and he comes back as Sir Galahad. So he's this really kind of screechy, obnoxious character, but then he's a proper knight the minute he gets, and you go searching for the Grail, and so I'll be doing that here.
That's going to be awesome. Actually, you wearing a shirt for it right now?
Yes.
Oh, holy
it was
cow.
clean.
Oh, that's nice. I could have just read your shirt and read all the information for it.
So it's right on there. It's upside down for me, but
Well, yeah, that's.
No, and I like a lot of people go out and buy all different kinds of I'm a T-shirt kind of guy.
I couldn't agree more.
It's like, so you look for goofy things. I've got I'll look for unique things, and when I'm traveling around, and safety second. Because when it's rock and roll, sometimes you got to break the, and stuff, and so it's fun doing.
I feel
that.
the hurt with the T-shirt collecting. I just recently picked up a Stryker T-shirt.
Yeah.
I played a show with Stryker this weekend, and they absolutely blew me away. And I mean, I've got too many concert shirts, anyways. I bought so many over the years. I just have totes with shirts in them that I don't even wear anymore.
Totes. Okay, I can quit buying dressers.
Got 7 dressers just stacked full. They're on top of each other.
I could get rid of some of these shirts, or I could buy a new dresser.
Yeah. Well. Oh, man. So you are not only just an artist in the fashion that you are a musician for a couple of bands, and you also sing for Comedia Musica Players, but you also do woodworking for commissions for other people. Or do you have anybody that has you on retainer, I guess, maybe?
Not really. It's one of those things to where I've got a couple of leads on different artwork for different hotels and stuff, for remodelings and stuff like that out west. I came to Iowa, it was about 24 years ago, from Colorado. I was born in Iowa, and then when I was like 20, I took off and and looked for amazing things, and went out there, and it was crazy because all through high school I worked at Pizza Hut. And my first job out there was working at Pizza Hut, so
some things might not be as optimistic as they
no,
seemed originally.
and then you work construction, and then life goes on, but no, then I came back here, and always and then I worked in hardware stores around tools and stuff. That was kind of learning that, and got interested in doing woodworking, and started out making just like real basic squirrel feeder kind of stuff, and then I'll try and make this, or I'll try and make that, and it just kept getting more complicated, and I think and that's part of it's within everything. If you're not pushing yourself, you're not gonna get better.
Exactly.
And so I've had projects where I'm on the workbench, and if I make just this one more cut, and that one more cut is the thing you don't do, and the piece just falls apart, and so you've wasted like 3 weeks of time because there's not enough glue.
Yeah, but without that little bit of failure, you don't get the the excitement of the success later,
right,
when you finally actually finish it. So
once it's you've got it completely sanded, and it's okay, this is gonna be and you're looking at it, it's kind of a neat thing to do. It's so that's how the woodworking thing came out. I actually made it's it's called the Cedar Chest because at one time I made cedar chests.
Okay.
And, and lumber isn't, good oak or walnut or whatever isn't cheap. And so I kind of, people are like, well, I can buy this at a big discount store for a third of what I have to pay you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And, but your great grandkids will,
yeah,
you'll
exactly.
be handing this solid walnut one instead of the particle board one that
exactly.
So it all kind of works out, but I kind of, had a lot for a while there. I had like 3 or 4 cedar chests sitting around, and nobody was.
Yeah.
So I eventually got rid of them and said, well, I'll do something else, and
yeah,
so I learned how to do that, and a lot of it's trial and error, and it works that way with the music too. It's like with the band thing with Kris,
mm-hmm.
we're constantly pushing ourselves.
Exactly.
And we've all played with some incredible players over the years,
mm-hmm.
but it's finding that mix, and we look at each other and it's like, okay, how do we make ourselves better?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the other day on Facebook, I posted a picture of, some drumsticks and a head I'd taken off one of my drums, and
mm-hmm.
and a picture of Ralph Wiggum with the clarinet up his nose,
yeah.
And it's like, I'm with the band.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of how I've always, especially with this band, it's like, I'm just so dang lucky to get a stand here.
Oh man,
and stuff, and it's like, and we all kind of feel that way, and so but we push ourselves, and then with acting and everything, you're only as good as you make the character yours. You can have mm-hmm. 2 people that, okay, you're both going to play the same role. Well, if I can do exactly what he does, then he should do it.
Yeah.
But if you make it yours, and that's what we do with the music, and that's kind of with the woodworking, I look for unique pieces that, okay, I don't see this anywhere.
All right.
And I'll get on a kick for a while. Like, for some stupid reason, the last 3 pieces I've made are seahorses. And you don't, it's not a big market in Iowa for for seahorses, and they range anywhere in size from like 2 to 4 feet in height, and
okay,
so, but and then I'll make stuff with deer or wolves or and whatever. And
yeah, I want to say one of the days we had practiced together as the Stockyard, I had seen that you had done a rather large piece that you had scroll cut maybe some deer out on and a mountain top, and
mm-hmm.
and it was somehow intertwined with some deer antlers as well.
Yes.
And I thought that was really neat. Like, how long would something like that take to make?
Probably from start to finish, it was about 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Because it's depending on the wood, you've got to know how, you draw in things, and other things are patterns, because I'm not that great of a drawer,
yeah.
But you put that on there, and then, but you need to find that place on the wood, and you might be in the middle of a cut, and all of a sudden you notice the wood's getting weak.
Yeah.
Like I had a really cool mountain lion piece that, if I make this one more cut, and it's split in half.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was like, there was 2 months of work that, it was,
oof.
It was,
gone down the drain.
Yeah, it was great kindling.
Oh,
so and some of them, you put back together. Like I cut out a moose this one time out of a piece of wood, and I didn't realize that there was a flaw in the wood. And the minute I got it cut, I was tapping the sawdust off it, and it split perfectly in half from top to bottom.
Gosh.
To where now there were 2 pieces.
Yeah.
And then it worked where you could put a hinge in between them and make, and they would look like they were mirrored of each other.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's the other thing. It's just like dumb luck will.
Yeah, like a happy accident.
Oh yeah, it's like well, cool. I can sell 2 of them. But no, I thought it was so cool together. It was just like, I want this, and it was really neat because a friend of mine got it. And
mm-hmm.
I just took a picture of it, and I put it on a social media,
mm-hmm.
site, and within like 2 minutes, her dad's nickname was Moose.
Oh, nice.
You know, she goes, I got to have that.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what to, and she goes, I don't care what it costs. And it's like, well, you know, it's not going to be stupid, you know. And that's the other thing too, is I try to keep the prices on the stuff I do within reason. You know, it's like I can't tell somebody, you know, on a piece of work, you know, yeah, it might have taken me a month to do that, and it's like, well, I put in, you know, 160 hours, and I'm worth blah blah so much an hour. You know, it's like, well, you can kind of look around. That's why there's a lot of artwork hanging up here. You know,
exactly.
Because you know, you just you know, it's worked out well for me, but it's not.
Yeah, it's just more of a hobby on the side, I guess, for you.
Yeah, well, it was a hobby that turned into a fun business. You know, it's I work from home.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, when I got a hold of you today to do the interview, that's actually what you said you were going to be doing today for a while. Yep. So that's actually pretty neat. Do you have anything else, I guess, like relevantly present that you like? Anything you want to plug coming up for date wise? This show is going to come out on Thursday, October 11th. So I think you said you had a show tomorrow night or something like that. So we can leave that one off because it'll already be post-dated.
Actually, yeah, I've got I think just practicing for shows, but later this month, let me look it up here.
And
it's October 25th. I'm pretty sure I have to.
I'll double check it and drop the Kris Karr Band information on the description.
I know this is screwing up the interview.
No,
I'm playing with my phone. It's if I remember correctly, it's the 27th of October. Shiny Top Brewing downtown is opening up a new entertainment room, and they asked us if we would break that room.
Oh, nice! So,
yeah, I think we're the first full band set up in there.
That'll be sweet.
But yeah, we're really looking forward to that. I mean, it's such a great. It's nice to see that opening up downtown.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know, places for, you know, they bring in solo acts or, you know, group acts or whatever, and the original stage is a little small for group acts, so they knocked out next door, and they're gonna, you know, have full bands in there. So we're really looking to have a lot of fun to do that. And
I feel like there's a lot of places recently that have been pushing for the music scene to kind of expand. You would end up going to, like, for example, I would have noticed a lot is out east on the eastern area. You got like Davenport and Dubuque and those areas. There seems to be a lot of music being played in that area, and it's pretty nice to see. And I feel like a lot of places are starting to expand their musical horizons by either inviting bands in to play at bars or things of that nature.
Yeah, it's I mean, that's the other thing about, you know, your bigger cities. They've got a lot more of the, you know, the venues for that. There's also, you know, considerably a lot more competition in that too. So, you know, we'll entertain anybody that, you know, wants to, you know, hey, we'd like to have you, you know, come play this. And you know, so it's like, but you go towards those where there's a lot of possible talent to do stuff, and then it's like, well, this is what we pay, and it's like, well, we can't travel for that.
Exactly.
You know, we got, you know, because either people are either taking off work or they're, you know, or it's like, okay, you know, that's the thing is everybody's like, okay, well, you're going to come, you know, set up and you're going to play from 9 to 1 or from, you know, whatever the time frame is on there. And so, okay, so we do an 8 to 11 gig, a 3-hour gig. And that's the other thing is you're paying us to play music. We don't take breaks.
Yeah.
You know, we cranked out like a 3.5-hour show the other night, you know, with, you know, tuning and basically a little banter, you know, with the audience and, you know, get a drink of water, you know, or whatever, you know, and stuff. But we're, you know, we're playing music, solid music. And you know, but we've got to get there 3 hours early.
Yeah.
You know, so you've got drive time, setup time,
teardown time.
Playtime is the fun time, because that's when you're doing what you love to do.
Exactly.
And then you expend all of that energy, and then you got to tear it all down, load it all up, and then you're exhausted, and it's like, oh, okay, now we got to drive home.
Yep, now we're driving home.
Who wants to drive?
Exactly.
And there's not a lot of hands going up sometimes, but
that's something I feel a lot of people, when they're done going to the show, they go home and say, man, that band was awesome, and then they never think, well, they got a 3-hour drive ahead of them, or a 2-hour drive ahead of them to even get home.
Yep. And if you're in a touring band, your next gig is
7-8 hours
away. You're right on the road and doing it again. So, but that's the thing about being on stage. That time when you're performing, you're on. It's like, and I use that in whether it's acting or singing with cabaret stuff, and I've sang with big bands. That's a lot of fun, where you get sing the old standards, and there's some great lyricists back in the 30s and 40s.
Oh yeah,
people don't write like that anymore.
Exactly.
And stuff, and so you're doing that kind of stuff, but you've got to be. It's like somebody flips a switch, and you've got to be on.
Exactly.
And it's just exhausting, and some days it's all there, and other days you're
a little off.
Yeah, it's like. And then people will come up, and you're thinking you're having just, this really crappy, man, I didn't hit that note, or I didn't. And people come up, they don't notice that,
No.
And that's the thing with theater too. They hand you a script, and you learn the script. Well, in my case, if they ever hand out scripts to the audience, and this is what he's going to be saying, you won't see me on stage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
because I mean, it's not like they know exactly what's supposed to be happening every single second. So as long as you're on, as long as you can be with the people you're with and kind of fluently pull it off together, it's just all about like the chemistry of the people you're around.
That's it, and if somebody sees, and that's a cool thing, with those groups, it's especially with the band, if somebody sees you just having that off moment, they'll pick that up for you, or they give you the get your shit together.
Exactly. That's I do feel like most of the bands I'm in, everybody just kind of looks at you and like, you can go beat yourself up over this, thanks, and you're like, all right, I'll definitely go beat myself up over this. Like,
sorry, I was playing a gig one night, and this group of people walked in, and I was back on the drums, and it was a tune I wasn't singing, and it was this rhythm, and this person picks up the tambourine that was laying right up on the front, and couldn't keep time for nothing.
Oh man.
I didn't care. I just started following what she was doing, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, I'm way off, And then everybody looks at you, it's like, what happened? It's black dress. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, we'll cut you some slack. But
it happens.
It happens.
It does happen.
And it's like, so. And that's the other, if you play tunes a lot, you can get complacent with them. So that's what's good, without switching stuff out. It's like, okay, we've kind of rode that tune for a while, let's retire it. And what's something new, or and I've kind of always took some shots at lyrics and stuff, and written some stuff down, and you'll throw those out there, and you got guys that can put it all together, musically and lyrical, and that's, man, that is a gift.
That is a gift. There's definitely something to be said about that. I want to thank you. We're getting kind of close to filling an hour here.
All right.
And I just wanted to say thanks for, I guess, your positive attitude in the music scene has not gone unnoticed, definitely not by me. And I just want to say thanks for, first off, agreeing to do the Stockyard with me this last summer.
It was a blast.
Gave me an opportunity to get to know you and play with some new musicians and expand my horizons a little bit. So that first off was... it was a good window into getting to know you and having the ability to do a podcast with you, sit down with you, kind of discuss your humble beginnings to your precedented glories as an established musician in the community. But I definitely think there is something to be said about all 5 of you guys in the Kris Karr Band for what you do for the community. Every single one of you guys is very, very busy individuals. You're all very musically talented. Every single one of you guys has always been nice every time I've ever seen you. I've never heard a bad word about any of you guys ever, whether it's your playing ability or your personalities. You guys are all great people, and I'm glad I got to know you because
You're gonna make me cry.
because I've been watching you guys play for so long. It's just one of those things. You watch people play so much, you're like, man, these guys are good, and then you start to get to know them. You're like, oh, these guys are actually nice too, because it doesn't always happen like that. So I just,
you know, having dinked around with this for over 40 years, you run into people that, you know, it is all about them. You know, I was in a band a few years ago to where, you know, the lead guy, he'd show up when he wanted. You know, it was, you know, and well, I'll get there when I get there because it's about me, you know, and stuff. And that, you know, that wears a little thin, you know, and to where, but then you find this group to where, well, I'm going to be here at such and such a time. Well, I can't make it to this time. Well, that's fine.
Exactly.
We've got you covered. And it's like, you know, we'll be, you know, we'll be ready to go when you get here, because everybody's got, you know, life.
Oh, yeah.
And a schedule, you know, and you get there and, you know, and you try to stay ahead of it. And
yeah, something has to be said about the communication factor for that
Yeah.
too. If everybody's in constant communication with each other, it's kind of nice. But if you're supposed to start at X time and then an hour goes by and you still haven't even heard from some of the people,
Yeah.
and you're like, where are these people even at? You know,
Yep.
It does kind of wear on you a little bit. But it's like you said, everybody's got a life, and it seems like everybody's lives is getting so busy these days.
Oh, yeah,
it's
you know,
tough to even find the time to have a band.
And people overschedule themselves. And it's like, you know, it's like, well, I can get this done in this amount of time. And you know, and so, and it's being able to, you know, make that decision. It's like, if I can't give all of myself to a project,
Exactly.
It's like, you know, I can't, you know, I've tried to do, with the theater side, I've tried to do 2 shows at one time.
Yeah.
And both suffer.
Yeah.
You know, and so you're not, and both people are like, well, you're not giving me your best. And it's like, well, I can't, you know, you can't be in 2 places at once.
Exactly. Just being in 2 bands at once, I'm finding it difficult with travel time alone. I spend enough hours behind a windshield that it's an embarrassment to even talk about publicly to anybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, and especially if you're, because, you know, if you're driving to, you know, 2.5 hours to
Yep.
1, and then coming back, you know, and that's 5 hours of time that.
Yeah, just for one band. And if we don't get them both in one day. So, I mean, yeah, it is kind of tough, but, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it definitely has to be said that you guys are some of the best people I've met.
Well, thank you.
In the music scene around my area, and I'm gonna try and get more of your guys' band in here to do this podcast if we can find the time available for them.
Yeah, the other 4 kept saying no.
They were just like, no, we're not gonna do it.
Yeah, it's like,
All right. Well, thanks again, man. I really appreciate you sitting
bet.
down with me and doing this podcast, everybody. This is
I appreciate it.
This is Jeff Bluml, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 4 is in the bank. That was Jeff Bluml. I love that guy. He's always seems to be in a good mood. He's always kind of goofing around. And, yeah, there's not many people like him out there in the world. So if you see him at a show, go ahead and tell him hi. He's a great guy. I want to give a shout out here to all of the people that are listening from out of state. This podcast takes place mostly in the state of Iowa, but I do have quite a few listeners from the Omaha area, as well as some from Minneapolis and a couple from Chicago. I also want to say thanks to the international listeners. We ended up having some international listeners this last week, so if you guys are joining us again this week, thank you very much. For everybody that enjoyed this podcast, go ahead and listen to the other podcasts. I have a few more previous podcasts that I have recorded. For shows coming up this weekend, I've got a show Saturday, October 13th at the Dark Mirror House. That's a house show. Three Finger Betty's playing. It's in Des Moines. If you want to come to the show, just go ahead and contact one of the people in the band. We will find a way to give you the address and get you to the show. Otherwise, the weekend after that, Friday, October 19th, Three Finger Betty has a show at Boggs Hole Avenue in Des Moines. That starts at 9. You can go to Three Finger Betty's Facebook page for more information. Thanks to everybody that has liked, subscribed, and shared our social media. We've had quite a bit of social media presence this last couple weeks due to people sharing our events, our podcasts, things like that. So I just want to say thanks to everybody that has gone out of their way to share these podcasts, whether or not you're friends with the person I've done a podcast with, or you're just really interested in what's been going on. I'm hoping to get more podcasts recorded this weekend, and hopefully we'll keep going with one a week here. And just make sure you go ahead and like, subscribe, and share to all the social media. You can find it yourself, I'm sure, online. Just search for Audible Farm, and we will be there. All right, thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend. Let me know if you go into any shows, and we'll talk to you later.